You are listening to From Ring to Veil.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And we are your wedding planning gurus.
We take the stress out
and put the fun back into wedding planning. How to plan a wedding in 6 months. Episode number 159.
Would you guys take a moment and subscribe? Just click that little subscribe button wherever you're listening. And if you want to, take a screenshot and share that with your friends on Instagram, Facebook. Let them know we're here and we can help.
We have a new sponsor
called Manly Bands. They're wedding bands for men and some for women. They even have some thinner ones to choose from if you don't want a thicker manly type.
They have all kinds. They're inlaid with different materials and colors.
They are at an affordable price. All of them are less than $200. When you go to the website, they have the coolest thing. You can choose a ring that matches your personality. I love it. They have the adventurer, the entrepreneur, or even a creative.
They have amazing customer service and free exchanges in the U.S. and a 30-day we got you bro return policy.
Many of the bands even include a 1-year no-hassle warranty. How nice is that?
They have over 1,200 5-star reviews. So you know Manly Bands is the way to go.
We both got sample rings, and I wore mine. And they're super comfortable. These do have some weight to them, but they're not super heavy. They have those soft, rounded edges so they don't poke into you and cut your skin.
So go to fromringtoveil.com/MB and use the code FRTV to get 15% off any Manly band.
That's fromringtoveil.com/MB.
Planning a wedding in 6 months is quite a task.
But it can be done if you use your time wisely and you plan.
To me, it's just daunting and overwhelming. I don't know if I could do it in 6 months.
Well, if you stick to the timeline and cut the things that you really don't care about, cut those out and make sure you are able to make decisions right away and not have to take a week to make that decision, you can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And of course, our one piece of sage advice, get a coordinator, a day planner, something to help you because you're going to need it.
It'll be your best investment. I think, especially if you are trying to plan a wedding in 6 months or less, you know, unless you're just doing bare bones, a planner, coordinator, day of something is going to be your best investment.
And I would even look into having a weekday wedding, like a Friday evening or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And the best way to do it is to keep it small, right? Even you don't have to go bare bones, but you can do this, and you can, if you keep it smaller, it'll be less stressful.
So we do have some previous episodes that you can binge on that will be very, very helpful for this topic. It's episode number 75, information that you will need before you meet with your vendors. Episode number 136, wedding day delegating. And episode 100 is our wedding planning roundtable discussion, which that's one awesome episode, let me tell you.
That's right. We have some really, really great guest vendors on that show. Here we go. So as soon as you get engaged, announce that you're engaged. Facebook, Instagram, friends, phone, however you like to do it.
Does this ring make me look engaged?
Announce that you're engaged. Let people know that a wedding is coming.
You and your significant other pick a few dates because since it's only 6 months in advance, you're probably not going to get your select choice of dates. So pick a few that's going to work. Secure a planner and coordinator.
Absolutely. Approximate your guest list for the venue options. You know, like, are you going to have 200 people? If so, you need a venue that can handle 200 people. If you're only going to have 50 people, you're pretty good with venues. And then figure out your bridal party. Are you going to have 13 people? We suggest not. 1 or 2 is probably better for a quicker wedding timeline.
Pick colors, themes. Be aware of your seasons and availability of flowers. Find your venue. Choose a few that you really, really like. Make sure they're available on chosen dates. Like we said, Fridays and Sundays often have discounts and are a bit cheaper, and there are more availability on those days. Visit those venues, decide quickly, and set the date.
Set your wedding budget. In doing your budget, please do some research on what is appropriate for each vendor. We have talked about this in past shows. Of course, it changes a little bit year to year, so you can use our past shows, but it may be just a little different on the actual pricing.
With your coordinator, research vendors. She probably has some preferred ones.
Mm-hmm.
So check those out too, because they might bring along discounts. They might fit you into their availability because they're working with this so-and-so planner. Okay.
That's right.
You can ask friends, ask friends who are in the wedding business, who have been in a wedding, find a group of wedding planning people in your area on Facebook. There's tons of groups on Facebook, and ask for referrals.
And once you've got all this set, you have your venue, you have your date, announce when you're getting married as soon as you have that venue secure. That way people are making plans.
6 to 5 months out, because you're doing all of this at the same time, because you're going to have to overlap things. Okay. As we said, research vendors. You have your photographer, videographer, band, DJs. You need them for your ceremony, your reception. They need to be hired and booked because they do fill up quite fast.
They do. And, most vendors a lot of times are booked 8 months to a year out. And so you may have to compromise on your favorite vendors a little bit, but if some of them may have 1 or 2 days, especially if you're doing a Friday or Sunday, still available.
Mm-hmm.
Caterers, meet with them, book them, and your bartenders also.
The dress is the main thing because you're going to need alterations, or if you're doing a custom, you're going to need it designed and done. So you need to do that dress search right away.
Book hotel rooms for guests, set a block up for them. Not book them, but set up a block for them.
And you need to start your wedding registry. This is a fun experience, but make sure you do it for all areas of your household, not just your kitchen or your house. You need other things as well.
And this would be the perfect time to talk about our sponsor, Zola. You've heard us talk about them before. We love them. They are an online registry. They have everything that you love about your favorite department stores. It's easy. It's free. They have things like honeymoon funds, fitness classes, wine subscriptions, so much more. It's just going to be easy and enjoyable. And since you're doing this in 6 months, it would be so easy just to do that instead of going to this store and register and going this store and you guys sit down in front of the computer and get it done.
It also has a great feature called group gifting. So if you have a big ticket item on your list, multiple people can put money toward that gift. So that's awesome. You can personalize your registry with photos and notes telling them why you want a certain item, why you need it. And Zola has a free suite of wedding planning tools and, get this, free wedding websites.
To sign up with Zola and receive a $50 credit towards your registry, go to zola.com/FRTV.
That's Zola, ZOLA.com/FRTV. In this 6-month timeline, you need to start your wedding website really kind of quickly because you need to get details out there towards your guests. And since we just talked about Zola, remember they do have free wedding websites, so go check them out.
Give as many details as you can. We've talked about this before. As much as you can put in that wedding website. That's where everything's going to be, directions, hotel information, places to eat, stuff for your guests to do when they're not at the wedding, everything you can.
You also need to schedule your hair and makeup artists because you're going to need a trial for your hair and makeup before the big day. So you need to schedule that quickly.
Set your guest list and gather addresses. Get that out of the way so you can send these save the dates.
5 to 4 months before your wedding date, you need to purchase invites. If you're doing a suite, you need to make sure that you have some kind of theme throughout that and what you need in that suite. If you're just going to do invites and save the dates and things like that, it might be a little bit easier, quicker.
That's right.
You need to start planning the honeymoon. I would give this off to your groom.
Especially if you're going immediately after the wedding. If you're not going right away, you can skip this part until you have a little more time.
Yeah.
Bridesmaids dresses, order everything you need, accessories, shoes, whatever it is.
You need to get an officiant. If you're using an officiant there, you need to check to see if they're required premarital counseling or coaching, because that takes some time. So remember that.
They may have 1 or 2 meetings with you, so keep that in mind.
If you're having lighting, you need to reserve your lighting designer, and that includes pipe and drape if you need to cover up walls and block walls off, do things like that. Book a florist and decor, because they need some time to get your designs all set up and flower ordering. But as we said, make sure you know the season you're getting married in and availability of flowers.
Your transportation. This is where you need to order your limos, buses, antique cars, shuttles, whatever it is that you need. Talk to somebody who is in transportation and they can help you with all of that, but you need to get those set.
Start a day of timeline with your day of coordinator or your planner. Make sure that you get everything in there that you want to for your day of.
Rehearsal dinner venue. Now, those can be a little bit easier because it's just mainly reserving a restaurant room.
Make sure you verify your wording on your wedding invitations. Make sure it's all correct so you can make sure that they're printed correctly and that you can send them out.
Order your cake or cakes or cupcakes or donut wall or whatever it is that you're going to do.
If you're having a shower, send the guest list to the host of the shower or your maid of honor, who is traditionally the host.
Find your wedding shoes if you don't have them already. You're probably going to be doing dress fittings now.
Hopefully you found your dress last month. Month 5 and month 4 and 5, you can do dress fittings. Once you found your DJ vendor, make sure you choose your music. They can help you a lot. Use them. That's what they're there for.
That's right. And they can also help you plan out that reception. How's it going to go? When what happens? Who's speaking? Things like that. Now we're moving on to 3 to 2 months before the wedding. And this is just like normal stuff. We're not really trying to rush anything in now. It's just normal stuff. Finalize your menu and your floral.
If you're having favors, find them, buy them, fix them up, whatever you need to do.
Make a list of toasters, and you're going to get this to your DJ so they know who's doing what.
Finalize readings, purchase your bridal lingerie, schedule a second fitting with your lingerie on.
Finalize the timeline for your ceremony and reception. Make sure you're not missing anything. Make sure everything that you've decided that you want in your wedding to be there. Finalize your catering. Create menus as well as programs, and that you're going to be talking to your invitation suites people most likely if you're going to do the menus and the programs. You
don't need them, but if you're going to do them, make sure you finalize everything and read over them because, typos are bad.
That's
right. Purchase wedding rings. Yes, you have to purchase your wedding rings. You can either do the bride purchases the grooms or the groom purchases the, or you could just buy them together. It doesn't really matter, but hey, purchase your rings.
And it's not a thing that has to be a surprise or anything like that. Usually the engagement ring was a surprise. So
yeah,
you guys, the actual bands are not usually a surprise.
Send event schedule to your vendors. Yes, all vendors need a schedule. They need to know when to show up, what time it's over, what time they need to come and clean up. So you need to send them a schedule.
And if you have a coordinator or a planner, they will most likely do this for you.
Set final meetings. You have follow-up meetings and final meetings. So set your final meetings with your vendors so you can go over to make sure everything is there that you need and want.
Send your playlists to your band or your DJ, whichever you decide you're going to have.
And send out those invitations 6 to 8 weeks before the day.
If needed, send out newspaper wedding announcements. I don't know how often this is done anymore, but if your parents or whatever live in a small town and they still do that kind of thing, they may want to do that. So you might ask them. Grandparents too. They might like that kind of thing.
So plan your bachelorette party with your maid of honor.
Or let it be a surprise. Update RSVP lists. Yes, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest things to do is to get all those RSVPs. If you have a wedding website, it's much easier. But if you're having to track down people, are you coming to the wedding? Then that's the most stressful part.
Yeah. And this next one is research how to get your marriage license. Sometimes you can only get them up to 30 days before your date of marriage. Sometimes it could be 60 to 90. Just make sure you research it and have it at least whatever the timeline is before you get married. Because sometimes it's 72 hours, sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a week. So every state, every county is different. So make sure you research.
Contact your rehearsal dinner guests for final count.
Your final dress fitting along with your lingerie again.
Yes, don't forget that. It's very, because if you wear it one time and you don't the next, it's not going to fit the same. It's just going to, don't forget. Get your final count to your bartenders, caterers, venue, florist if they're adding something to flowers to a table or if they're taking one away.
Payment, you have to pay those vendors. Don't forget to pay them.
Confirm all your vendors, and that's, part of all this. Time of delivery, get them a timeline, when they need to pick up, when they need to drop off, that kind of thing.
And so now we're 1 month before the wedding.
We talked about this in episode number 66. You can go to fromringtoveil.com/66, and we get a detailed timeline of the month before your wedding. But we have a few things on our list here.
Yes, book your spa treatments, nails, facial, waxing, all that kind of good stuff.
Break in your shoes. You're going to be tempted to wait until the day of to wear your shoes the first time. Don't do that. Break them in.
Yes, because they're going to pinch your toes and hurt your heels and, and the soles are usually all slippery, so you don't really want to fall and trip slip. And so, make sure you break them in. Do your seating charts if you're doing them.
By this time, you should have a good amount of RSVPs, if not all of them, hopefully.
Yeah.
Always make space for extras.
Yes, and keep updating your caterers and bartenders and things like that, too, during this whole month as well, because things change.
If you haven't done so already, write your vows if you're going to be writing your own vows.
Get your gifts for your bridesmaids and groomsmen and your bride or groom gift. Don't forget them.
Gift.
Yep.
And get your hair done. Color, cut, perm, whatever you're doing. Straightening, whatever. Do this before, at least 2 weeks before, because if something goes wrong, you want to be able to have time to fix it.
The week of the wedding. Delegate. You're going to be stressed, so you need to delegate responsibilities.
That's right.
Who picks up the gifts from the airport? Who's in charge of gifts? Who's in, if you're renting tuxedos, who's going to return them all? You need to write all this out and make sure you give these lists to people who are going to be trustworthy to do them.
That's right. Handing out tips to your vendors. And I would say, especially if you're using a planner, they need this list of who's in charge of what, because most people are going to look to her or him to be that person. And if she's not, she needs to tell them where to go.
Right. Because, we had a wedding at one time where she had a lot of decor, and she thought we were going to take care of all her decor that she bought. So she had to find somebody that night to pick up all of her decor and take it with them. So that's kind of a,
Yeah, it's confusing, and the vendors don't want to have to ask the bride, okay, who's taking this at the wedding? It's just uncomfortable for everybody. So just prepare. Pick up your dress the week of the wedding. And you may even have another fitting there just to make sure everything is good. If you're not having a fitting, great, just pick up your dress.
Pack for your honeymoon. Don't let anyone else pack for your honeymoon. You pack for your honeymoon.
We had a show on what to pack on your honeymoon, too. Look for that.
We also had a show on about your day of timeline and the emergency kit that you need. So it's episode number 6. So please check that out, too, because you need an emergency kit.
Yes, it will. A lot of the wedding planners have their own, but if you have one too, it just makes it so much easier because you know what you have and like and works and all that stuff.
And what you need in case you need medication or anything like that, it needs to be in your kit.
Right. So we know this is a lot of information to take in. If it helps, print this out, use it as a checklist. You can mark stuff off when you're done. It's so satisfying to mark stuff off, I'll tell you. I love to do that. You can even, if you decide to, forgo the planner. I believe we've got an exhaustive list here so that you're not forgetting anything.
And you got to remember, day of coordinators just don't work on the day of. They help you throughout with the day of timeline and things like that. So you will talk to them at least a month or 2 before your day of event. So
you have friends and family. They're probably eager to help out. Like Shannon said, delegate. Find what these people are good at and let them do it so it comes off your plate. And it just gives you a little less stress. As you can see, you can do this. You can absolutely do this in 6 months if you put your mind to it, stay on track, you get your list, you mark it off.
Yeah, and don't forget, sometimes you're going to have to compromise on details and things like that, or your day, because most of the days are already picked. So maybe you have to make it a Friday or a Sunday afternoon wedding. So just, be flexible and compromise.
Yes, absolutely. That's all we have for you today. We are going to have more of these timeline shows. We're going to try to do a 3, and we're even going to try to do a 2-month planning. Shannon doesn't like that at all, but we're going to give you a way to do this.
It may be an elopement timeline when
we can also do one of those, but look for those. We're going to have more shows on venues. We've got a couple planned for the Texas area.
We have several done for the Texas area, so that'll be hopefully one a month. We'll do one for because Texas is huge and it has different regions, and so they need more than a couple of shows.
We have some shows coming up about wedding inspiration. We'll have some more color shows, some more decor shows. We know you guys love those, trends, things like that. So subscribe so that you don't miss any of those shows. We are everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Anywhere you listen, subscribe to us there.
And don't forget, we have a Facebook group now. It's the From Ring to Veil Wedding Planning Community. You can go to our Facebook page, which is different from our group. And on the left-hand side, there's a list that says groups. Click on groups, and then you can go to our page and sign up for our group page. So, yeah.
It's fun. And connect with your people.
You can probably search for it, too, without having to go to our page, but we would like you to like our page as well. So
that's right. It just shows us how many of you guys are listening. Send us your questions. Send us your comments. Send us your stories so that we can share those on the show. info@fromringtoveil.com. Message us wherever.
And until next time, no stress, no worries. Keep calm and listen on.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter, @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, fromringtoveil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.